Hi, class. My son wanted to say hi before we read Wishtree. I'm wearing my Mariners hat, if you didn't know. I'm a Mariners jersey. I'm a Mariners fan, not a Rockies fan. I grew up in Washington for 7 years and watched them make the playoffs for the first time, so I love the Mariners. But, all right, Jordan, can you say bye?
Hello.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
All right, now get out of here. I'm going to go do my video.
I want to fly.
You get a fly. All right, go see Mom. I'll be done in a minute. All right. We're going to read Wishtree and figure out what is happening. So Samar and Steven were realizing that it was real and they wouldn't tell anyone ever. And that we found out Steven's parents didn't really like the idea of them being together, walking together, Steven and Samar. All right. And it was Wishtree Day. And someone threw raw eggs, too. Not nice. Chapter 42, page 163. I didn't have much time to mull over my mistake. We had a steady stream of visitors as the hours passed. Early wishmakers came through the day. A little girl who wanted 20 hamsters. The grocer down the street, hoping for a summer of sweet peaches. The usual. The local reporter returned. She peeked at some of the new wishes hanging from my bows and took a photo of the broken eggshells on my trunk. Sandy and Max came to remove the police tape surrounding me. Francesca joined them. Today she had Lewis and Clark on their leather leashes. Each cat was wearing an embarrassing sparkly harness. Francesca discussed the broken eggs with Sandy and Max, while Lewis and Clark wove around her legs. I've got a tree cutter coming out later to give me an estimate, Francesca said. So you're definitely cutting it down, Sandy asked, in what I like to think was a disappointed voice. Yep, no question. See that muck? All the water in the yard? Francesca pointed at the soggy lawn. Plumber told me this dang tree is plugging up some of the pipes. Last bit of rain and the yard turns into a giant mud puddle. Or least bit of rain. Still, people are going to be sorry to see it go, Max said. He reached for Clark's leash and tried to unwrap Francesca. I know, it's a good old tree, but sentiment doesn't pay the plumber. Sandy grabbed Lewis while Francesca attempted to unknot herself from the leashes. What about the animals and the birds that live in there? She asked. Ah, that's where I'm using the old noggin, Francesca said. Every year the opossums and owls and such vacate the premises of Wishing Day on Wishing Day. Strangest thing, it's like they know what's coming. She hopped over the web of leashes. Suppose they don't like being disturbed. In any case, I'm hoping the cutters will come late tomorrow afternoon. Most of the wishing will be done by then. What will you do with all the wishes? Sandy asked. Put them in the trash when no one's looking. That's what I do every year. Whole thing's nonsense anyway. Max and Sandy looked at me sympathetically. I know, I don't have a sentimental bone in my body. Francesca paused to address the cats, who were yanking her opposite directions. If dogs can do this, why is it such a challenge for you two? She turned her attention back to the police. But it's time. More than time. Well, we're going to swing by tomorrow. Keep an eye on things. No lead on the person who carved that word. But with the eggs and people just generally rilled, and the cut down, Sandy shrugged, couldn't hurt to have us keep an eye on things. Thanks, Francesca said. Not necessary, but I appreciate it. Lewis and Clark caught a glimpse of Bongo and lunged for my trunk. Whoa, you crazy felines, Francesca cried, reining them in. They hissed at Bongo. She spread her wings menacingly and let out her most ferocious caw. Lewis and Clark retreated for the safety of Francesca's arms. Once again, she was a tangled knot of leashes and cats. Sandy smiled. Maybe leave the cats home tomorrow, Francesca. Chapter 43. That afternoon, I met my executioners. Not having teeth, I've never really understood the fear people seem to have in dentists. I've overheard conversations that the words the root canal and cavity were used, but in true world, those have different meanings. After seeing the tree cutters and their equipment, I understood. When a truck carrying powerful chainsaws along with something ominously called a stump grinder shows up, well, you know you're in trouble. Mind you, An arborist is a great friend to trees. We need our limbs trimmed just the way you need to cut your fingernails and hair, although for us, it's only once or twice a year, and it's called pruning. I always feel especially elegant after a good pruning. But pruning is usually done with special shears that look like giant scissors or a small saw on a long pole. Stump grinders are generally not part of the plan. It didn't help when three men wearing orange hard hats went to Francesca's door and announced they were the Timber Terminators Tree Service. I'm going to make a deposit on those silly hats, Bongo muttered. No, Bongo, I said, although the idea was tempting. Let's wait and see what's what. Maybe they're just here for some pruning. You really are an optimist. Francesca walked the man over, this time without Lewis and Clark, and they discussed costs and timing. That's right, they talked about cutting me down, even as they enjoyed the shade from my lovely limbs. Talk about insensitive. One of the men, he introduced himself as Dave, climbed a ladder to inspect my hollow. Agnes, Harry Spiders, and Big Ude eyed him warily, ready to defend their babies. You've got some critters here, ma'am, he reported. Yes, I know, Frances said. Every year like clockwork. Bongo flew up to a spot near Agnes. Just one deposit, she said under her breath. That's all I'm saying. Situation like this, we generally advise cutting in late fall, less likely to disturb any nests. I've got that covered, Francesca nodded. Hands on hips. Animals and birds hightail it out of here every May 1st. Wishing Day, you know. I guess Wishing Day is tomorrow. They were just starting it early, some of them. Dave scratched his stubby chin. Wishing Day? People make wishes, put them on the tree. Animals and birds don't like all the noise. If you could do this tomorrow afternoon, the timing would be perfect. You work on Saturdays? Sure do, Dave shook his head. Wishing Day, he murmured. Now I've heard everything. Francesca nodded. She patted my trunk. Yeah, craziness. Can't believe I put up with it as long as I have. Chapter 44. And there's only 51 chapters. And the last two are pretty short. 49 is long. I think I'm going to do the last three chapters live. I'll still record it. But if you want, we could do it live and finish the book together. So I have... We'll just do a couple more videos, and then we can do last. So I have like 3 videos left after this, and then we will do the last one live, which will be kind of cool. We got to see what happens. Is the tree going to get cut down? What's going to happen on Wishing Tree Day? Are Samar and Steven going to be friends? Is Samar going to move? There was also that key that Samar had from Bongo, and then we mentioned there was like a diary there, so we got to keep that in mind. We were thinking about that. But cool, thanks for watching, listening to Wishtree, and I'll see you next time.